There are homes we enter where peace is felt lightness, a cozy vibe not explained only by decoration or tidiness. And there are other spaces where, even if clean, a subtle tension is felt, a kind of invisible weight. Why does this happen? Beyond aesthetics, there are objects that transform a place's energy, that elevate or block it. In this video, we'll talk about those objects that don't just decorate, but interact with your reality. According to Jacobo Grinberg, the perception we have of the world is not a passive representation of what is out there, but a constant construction between what we project and what we receive. What he called quantum reality is not something foreign, scientific, or distant, but an energetic network where each element, from a living plant to a mirror, can modify your field of consciousness. In that framework, what you place in your home matters more than you think. Today I'll show you 7 objects that shouldn't be missing from your home if you want to attract abundance. I don't just mean money, but that integral abundance, emotional, spiritual, energetic. Each object we'll see has a specific function within this quantum field, and its presence can help you harmonize your space, open paths, and tune into higher frequencies. Stay until the end because we'll go deep into how and why these objects work from a holistic and energetic perspective. And before we continue, tell me in the comments, do you have an object that you feel changes your home's energy? A mirror, a plant, a bowl? Write it. Maybe you're already tuning into this reality without knowing it. The first object we'll talk about is the mirror. Since ancient times, mirrors have awakened a deep fascination in cultures around the world. They aren't just reflective surfaces. They're symbolic and energetic portals that have been used as spiritual tools, oracles, and ritual devices. In many traditions, it's believed that the mirror doesn't just reflect a physical image, but also a part of the soul, of intention, and of the energetic field surrounding the observer. This view gains new depth when analyzed through the lens of Jacobo Grinberg's thinking. Grinberg maintained that the human mind is not a simple receiver of stimuli, but a constant emitter of energetic patterns that structure reality. In his entropic theory, the brain acts as a modulator of the lattice, that fundamental and immaterial structure underlying all that exists. According to him, what we call reality is a perceptual projection, a meeting between the individual neural field and that universal field. In this context, the mirror is not a neutral object, but an amplifier agent of intention. Let's think for a moment about what happens every time we look in the mirror. We do it upon waking, before leaving home, when we need to reaffirm an image or align our identity. But we are rarely aware that this daily act has a tremendous energetic load. In syntropic terms, the mirror doesn't just return a physical form, but it's also capable of amplifying the mental and emotional frequencies we emit. If we look with judgment, discomfort, or apathy, those vibrations are projected and reinforced in a loop. But if we do it with clear intention, with affirming words or positive emotional states, the mirror acts as a resonator that lifts and anchors those energies in space. Many cultures knew this, though they used other languages. In ancient Egypt, polished copper mirrors were used in rituals to see beyond the veil, because they believed they served as a threshold between this world and other planes. In the Chinese tradition of feng shui, mirrors are powerful tools to redirect the flow of qi, the vital energy, and are strategically placed to activate prosperity zones, clear energetically stagnant corners, or even to bounce bad energies outward. In European esotericism, black mirrors were used as windows for divination because they were believed to allow access to subconscious and to non-ordinary planes of perception. Grinberg didn't speak of magic mirrors in a literal sense, but his theory opens the possibility of understanding them as quantum catalysts. When we focus our mind and our emotion with clarity in front of a mirror, we are sending an ordered pattern to the lattice. That coherence is reflected, amplified, and can be used to modify our perceptual field. In other words, the mirror can be a tool of energetic programming. Now then, what does it mean to have a mirror with intention at home? It's not about any decorative mirror, forgotten in a dark corner. We're talking about choosing a mirror with awareness, with purpose, and placing it in a spot where it becomes a point of connection with our highest energy. The mirror should be clean, well cared for, and preferably located in a space where you look at it consciously each day. It could be the bedroom, a meditation corner, or even the entrance hall, if you use it as an energy anchor when leaving home. One of the key steps is learning to charge a mirror with intention. For that, the first requirement is presence. It's not the same to look at yourself in the mirror while brushing your teeth with your mind elsewhere, as it is to pause a moment, breathe deeply, and use the mirror as a focusing tool. Charging a mirror with intention means speaking to it from the heart. Yes, literally. You can do it out loud or silently, but with clear words filled with coherent emotion. For example, upon waking, you can look at yourself and affirm, "Today I am a channel of abundance. Today I receive with gratitude all that life offers me." The key is not just in the words, but in the feeling that accompanies them. The mirror doesn't do magic by itself. What happens is that when you repeat these affirmations before a mirror charged with your intention, you are reorganizing your neural field coherently. According to Grinberg, that coherence is what allows the quantum field, the lattice, to respond and reconfigure. That is, you are actively influencing the perception you have of the world, and therefore the opportunities that appear, the relationships you attract, the energy that inhabits your home. Some people even reserve a mirror exclusively for this purpose. They decorate it with symbols, with colors that raise its vibration, or surround it with candles, flowers, or incense. It's not indispensable, but it is recommended. The more attention and care you give to the mirror space, the stronger it becomes as an energetic node in your home. And this makes a lot of sense from the syntropic logic. Everything you repeat, everything you do with focus and devotion, generates a stable vibratory pattern, and a stable pattern transforms the environment. There are testimonies of people who have begun to use mirrors with intention and have noticed subtle but forceful changes: greater mental clarity, more confidence, improvements in their relationships or their perception of money. Some report that by using the mirror with affirmations of gratitude, they begin to notice small synchronicities, unexpected encounters, solutions that come without searching, opportunities that seem blocked. Although these experiences are personal and don't follow linear logic, they fit perfectly into Grinberg's view. When you change your perception, you change your reality. But there are also warnings. A badly placed, dirty, broken, or distorted mirror can generate the opposite. In feng shui, for example, it is discouraged to have mirrors directly reflecting the bed or the main door, because they can disperse or divert vital energy. A mirror facing the bed can affect rest, and one reflecting the entrance can cause the energy of abundance to bounce and not remain. From a syntropic perspective, we could say that these mirrors generate a chaotic pattern in the perceptual field of the space, which translates into confusion, disorder, or emotional fatigue. That's why it's so important to observe your mirror, how it is, what it reflects, where you place it, and above all, how you feel when you see yourself in it. If you judge yourself, if you avoid looking, if you don't like what you see, don't blame the mirror. Observe what intention you are projecting, because the mirror in this framework is a silent but powerful collaborator. It imposes nothing but amplifies everything. This simple and everyday object can become one of the most powerful allies to attract abundance if used with awareness. It doesn't require complicated formulas or big rituals. What it needs is intention, presence, and internal coherence. And that, though it seems simple, is what deeply transforms a home's energy. Once we understand that the mirror can be more than a superficial reflection, we start to notice its true function within the home. It then becomes a kind of energetic threshold, an instrument that reminds you who you are, how you vibrate, and what you project to the world. But for this object to unfold its potential, it's important not only to have it, but to interact with it in a conscious way, consistently and aligned with our internal states. The daily use of a mirror with intention can become a powerful practice of energetic reprogramming. Imagine for a moment the usual morning routine. How does it change if, before leaving home, you dedicate just 3 minutes in front of the mirror to align your thoughts with your deepest desires? The intention is not to repeat phrases like a robot, but to pause to feel them, to let the emotion that accompanies them permeate your body and your environment. That coherent emotion, said Grinberg, is what structures perception, and if your perception changes, your world changes. A concrete practice you can apply is the following. Place your mirror in a spot where it receives natural light. Each morning, stand before it, breathe deeply 3 times, and look into your eyes without rushing. Then, Speak aloud an affirmation that connects with what you wish to attract. It can be, I am open to receiving the good the universe has for me, or my home is a space of abundance, harmony, and well-being. The most important thing is that the affirmation resonates with you, that it doesn't sound like something borrowed or artificial. Accompany that moment with an upright posture, slow and conscious breathing. That creates a synergy between mind, body, and environment. Another way to work with a mirror is through projected gratitude. This practice involves using the mirror not to ask, but to thank in advance for what you wish to manifest. For example, you could say, thank you for the new opportunities that are arriving, or thank you for the clarity that accompanies me today in each decision. This usage is particularly effective from the syntropic perspective, since Grinberg proposed that the brain doesn't clearly distinguish between what is lived and what is imagined if the emotional pattern is strong enough. Therefore, thanking for the unlived as if it had already happened establishes a perceptual structure that facilitates its materialization. You can also create a small ritual with your mirror at key moments, before an important conversation, a job interview, a financial decision. Use the mirror as a channel of internal connection, a kind of tuner that aligns you with your best version. It's no coincidence that many people carry small mirrors in their bags or cars and unconsciously use them as reinforcement points for their identity. The difference here is that instead of using them from insecurity or vanity, you're going to use them from awareness. Another important detail has to do with the physical care of the mirror. Cleaning the surface regularly with a damp cloth and a gentle infusion of rosemary or lavender not only helps keep it shiny, but also symbolizes an energetic cleansing. Some people pass incense or Palo Santo around the mirror's frame to clear any negative charge. These small acts, though simple, reinforce the sacred character of the object, acknowledging it as more than just utilitarian. The place where you put it also influences the energy it radiates. If you want to enhance abundance, place it in an area that receives light and reflects something pleasant. A plant, a harmonious painting, an orderly corner. Never place a mirror where it reflects trash, clutter, or dark spaces. And if possible, don't place it directly in front of your bed or in a straight line with the entrance door. These recommendations, although they come from feng shui, align with Grinberg's idea that perception shapes experience. If the first thing you see upon waking is your own reflection in a mirror that returns an image of fatigue, it may generate a negative perceptual loop. You can also combine the use of the mirror with other tools. For example, write your intentions on a piece of paper and place it behind the mirror, or discreetly stick a keyword in one corner of the frame. Abundance, clarity, harmony. These visual anchors activate your attentional field each time you pass in front of it. You don't need to look at them all the time. It's enough for your mind to register them peripherally. Their influence is already present. Some people use round mirrors to symbolize wholeness, unity. Others prefer hexagonal ones for their harmonic vibration. It's not that one shape is better than another, but it is useful to choose a mirror that resonates with you aesthetically and energetically. In syntropic theory, visual patterns also have an influence on the neural field. That's why surrounding yourself with shapes that feel pleasant is not a superficial luxury, but an act of energetic hygiene. Ultimately, the most valuable thing about the intentional mirror is not the mirror itself, but the habit of interacting with it consciously. That daily practice strengthens your ability to create internal coherence, and that coherence is what attracts aligned experiences. The mirror thus becomes a silent witness of your process, an ally that reflects not only your face, but your vibration. Many great changes begin with small gestures. Looking at yourself each day, with respect, with purpose, with gratitude, may seem insignificant, but on the quantum level, where everything is interconnected, those seconds of coherence have a profound echo. Jacobo Grinberg sensed it when he said that real change is not in the external, but in the way consciousness relates to reality. That's why the invitation is simple but powerful. Transform a mirror in your home into a point of power. Don't let it be just a functional object. Turn it into a portal of intention, a sacred space where the highest version of yourself is activated each day. Because when you look at yourself with awareness, you are reorganizing your energy field. And when that happens, everything else, material, emotional, spiritual, begins to align with that new vibration, that Precisely that is what opens the doors to true abundance. Now we move on to the second essential object that should not be missing from your home if you wish to cultivate a constant energy of abundance: the living plant, with special emphasis on species like basil or aloe. These beings, which we often keep at home without giving them the attention they deserve, are authentic nodes of life, containers of plant consciousness, and guardians of vibrational balance within spaces. From a holistic perspective, and in line with Jacobo Grinberg's vision, plants are not just decoration or natural resources. They are entities with their own energy field, capable of interacting with our perceptual system in a subtle yet powerful way. Grinberg explored for years how consciousness is not exclusive to human beings, but is distributed universally, in different degrees, throughout all matter. Plants, especially those that grow inside the home, serve as a link between what he called the observer's neural field and the lattice, that structural mesh of information that connects all of reality. Basil, for instance, has been recognized for centuries by various cultures for its protective, energetic, and healing properties. It not only has a penetrating and pleasant aroma that elevates a space's frequency, but also emits a constant vibration that harmonizes the surrounding energies. Some people claim that having a basil plant at home reduces conflicts, clears dense emotions, and activates subtle centers of perception. This belief is not merely esoteric. From a perspective closer to what Grinberg proposed, we could say that basil acts as an ordered energetic structure that influences, by resonance, the human being's perceptual structures. In other words, by keeping it nearby, we come into contact with a plant consciousness that stabilizes our own vibration. Aloe vera, also known as sabila, plays a slightly different yet equally valuable role. While basil has a more expansive and airy energy, aloe provides a more grounded, dense, and protective presence. This plant is known for absorbing negative energies, purifying spaces, and acting as a kind of energetic shield. Its fleshy structure and ability to store water for long periods also reflect a vibrational quality of resilience, of containment. Within the syntropic theory framework, this can be read as a function of absorbing and reconfiguring chaotic patterns in the home's energy field. It's no coincidence that many people, even without explicit spiritual knowledge, place aloe at the house entrance in corners or near resting areas. Instinctively, they recognize that this plant creates a different atmosphere. In many traditions, when aloe dries out or rots for no apparent reason, it's interpreted as a sign that it has absorbed a heavy load, that it has worked for the home's balance. This vision can also be articulated from Grinberg's approach, which held that objects, and in this case, living beings, can act as extensions of our consciousness, interacting with the energy fields that structure reality. Having a living plant at home also implies a form of relationship. Unlike a static object, the plant requires attention, care, presence. That daily bond, although subtle, is an energetic practice in itself. Watering a plant, speaking to it, moving it according to the light, or simply observing its growth, are actions that reinforce the perception of interconnection between humans and their surroundings. Grinberg insisted that perception is not a passive act. It is a constant construction that feeds on stimuli we choose to incorporate into our experience. In this sense, the presence of a living plant shapes a perceptual reality different from what an artificial plant or inert object would offer. Choosing the right plant should not be based solely on its appearance or esoteric reputation. It's essential to connect with it intuitively. Which plant calls to you? Which one do you feel affinity with without knowing why? That resonance, that something that can't be explained but is felt, is an energetic key. Plants, having their own frequency, relate better to those who vibrate compatibly. That's why what feels harmonious to one person may seem indifferent to another, and that's fine. The energetic relationship of the plant is like any living relationship. It requires observation, respect, and attunement. In practical terms, there are some aspects to consider when introducing a living plant as an energetic object of abundance at home. First, its location. Areas with good natural light, but not too much heat or wind, are usually ideal. Entrances, wide hallways, and corners where stagnant energy is perceived are strategic places. The plant acts as a bridge between the visible and the invisible, between the material and the subtle. Placing it where the energy flow needs harmonization allows it to fulfill that function without obstacles. Also, The soil in which it's planted, the type of pot, and even the decorative elements around it influence its energetic role. It's advisable to use clay or unglazed ceramic pots, as these materials allow energy to flow more naturally, in contrast with plastic, which can act as a barrier. It's also recommended not to clutter the plant's surroundings with unnecessary objects. Giving it space is also giving it voice, allowing it to radiate its field freely. Another key point is intention. When planting or placing a new plant at home, take a moment to do it consciously. You can hold in your hands, close your eyes, and mentally set the intention that it be a channel of abundance, balance, and protection for your home. This act, which may seem symbolic, has a real impact on both your and the space's energy field. In Grinberg's view, this kind of conscious interaction modifies the very structure of perceived reality. The act of pruning, removing dry leaves, and changing the soil from time to time is also part of this bond. Just as we clean our home or our body, we must also care for the plant space. That cleaning is a form of energetic respect that directly impacts the quality of its presence in the home. It's not about obsessing over maintenance, but about establishing a relationship that includes mutual recognition and attention. From the syntropic theory perspective, we could say the plant becomes a point of convergence between the observer's consciousness and the quantum field of possibilities. Through its living presence, the plant anchors a more coherent, more ordered reality. And since abundance is not just about having more things, but about living in a state of inner alignment with the flow of life, these small green guardians become true allies of that purpose. It is important to understand how these beings are not only channels of purification or harmony, but also living reflections of our inner state. The relationship we maintain with them, their vitality, growth, or even withering, can be seen as a form of energetic feedback. What we give, they return, not in a moral or emotional sense, but in a constant flow of vibrational exchange. Jacobo Grinberg argued that the human mind projects onto reality a mesh of perception structured by beliefs, emotions, and expectations. This mesh, in contact with quantum reality, generates what we experience as the external world. In this context, plants do not merely decorate or simply exist, but co-construct that outer world with us. They are part of that structured projection of consciousness, and at the same time, they are independent nodes of biological intelligence that also interact with that reality. This dual quality, being part of our perception and having their own energetic structure, makes them powerful elements within the home's syntropic field. That's why, when a basil plant grows lush, emits a strong aroma, and looks green and active, it's not only a sign of good plant health. It may also indicate that the emotional and mental environment of those living in the space is relatively harmonious. Likewise, if a plant withers for no apparent reason, or if several plants in different parts of the home show signs of decline at the same time, it's worth asking whether there are unresolved conflicts, latent tensions, or deep energetic imbalances. The plant thus functions as a sensor that transforms the intangible into visible signals. This principle also applies to the interaction among household members. Plants tend to respond more strongly or weakly depending on who takes care of them. Some people, without knowing why, seem to have a good hand with plants. And although technically we could speak of watering, light, or fertilizing from a more holistic energetic perspective, what occurs is a vibrational affinity. That person tunes into the biological rhythm of the plant, transmitting security and stability, and that translates into growth. This is not limited to special abilities. Rather, it is an invitation to conscious presence. Plants can also be intentionally designated for specific purposes. Basil, for example, can be consecrated as a prosperity plant if that intention is set when planting or receiving it. This can be done through a simple act of intention, holding in your hands, taking a deep breath, and mentally declaring, calmly and clearly, that the plant will serve as a channel to attract the energy of abundance and flow into the home. This programming, in energetic terms, acts as an informational command that integrates into the plant's energetic field. And as Grinberg suggested, every informational structure directly influences the perception and manifestation of reality. Aloe vera, for its part, is excellent for working with energy cleansing processes. It can be placed near entrances, windows, or in areas where heaviness, frequent arguments, or stagnation are perceived. It can also be used more actively, For instance, cutting a leaf with gratitude and rubbing its gel on objects that feel energetically charged, or even on one's own skin, as a symbol of purification. In doing this, we are not just using a plant with physical properties, but engaging in a symbolic act that reinforces our energetic intention. And as syntropic theory explains, symbols charged with intention can restructure both inner and outer reality. It's also worth mentioning the use of water with plants as an energy amplifier. The water used for watering can be programmed with positive words or thoughts. This principle, studied by Masaru Emoto and other researchers of water memory, relates to Grinberg's ideas. Consciousness affects matter. That's why, when filling a watering can, you can hold it for a few seconds and mentally charge it with phrases like harmony, abundance, or health before watering the plant. This gesture, seemingly simple, establishes a bridge between the mind, the quantum field, and the plant's biology, creating a circuit of vibrational coherence. The arrangement of multiple plants in the home also deserves a more strategic approach. Rather than placing many plants in one spot, it is more energetically effective to distribute them in key areas of the house. For example, basil in the kitchen not only purifies the environment, but also elevates the energy of the food prepared there. Aloe vera in the bedroom can absorb tensions accumulated during the day. A fern in the living room can harmonize social interactions. Each plant, with its unique vibration, establishes an energetic note, and when consciously combined, they create a kind of harmonic vibrational score throughout the space. It is also important to give thanks to the plants. Gratitude not only strengthens the bond with them, but also raises the overall frequency of the environment. Grinberg emphasized the importance of emotions as modulators of the perceptual field. Gratitude, in particular, is a high-frequency emotion that reinforces a connection with the whole. Saying thank you while watering, pruning, or even just passing by a plant is not merely symbolic courtesy. It is an energetic act that strengthens the attunement between your consciousness and that of the plant being. Across cultures and spiritual traditions, plants have held a central place in rituals of protection, prosperity, healing, and cleansing. What's interesting is how these practices, far from being mere superstitions, align surprisingly well with contemporary research on consciousness, energy, and perception. Grinberg himself studied shamanic traditions and ancient knowledge systems not to disprove them, but to find a common thread that connects all levels of reality. On that path, plants appear again and again as key allies, as translators between the invisible and the tangible. Lastly, it's worth remembering that the energy plants help manifest in the home is not static. It requires renewal, interaction, presence. That's why, beyond physical care, plants also need vibrational care. Lighting incense nearby, placing a stone like quartz or amethyst on them, speaking kind words, avoiding arguments around them. These all have an impact. Plants feel, perceive, respond, not in the human sense of complex emotions, but in the pure way that all living beings react to their surroundings. Have you ever felt that a plant in your home was telling you something? Have you noticed how the atmosphere changes when a basil blooms or when an aloe dries up for no reason? Tell me in the comments what plant you have, where you placed it, and whether you've noticed anything special since it's been with you. I'm really interested in reading your stories, because sometimes the most powerful answers come from what we all share. After exploring how living plants can be powerful allies for attracting and sustaining abundance at home, we now move on to the third essential object from an energetic and quantum perspective, the bowl or Tibetan bell. At first glance, it might seem like just a sound instrument or decorative item, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful objects for transforming the vibrational field of a space. In the worldview developed by Jacobo Grinberg, sound is not just mechanical vibration, but a primary form of reality organization. Thus, when we speak of the Tibetan bowl, we are speaking of a tool for perceptual reconfiguration. Sound has a direct effect on the body, the mind, and the environment. This is not just a spiritual metaphor. From physics, we know all matter vibrates. If all matter is vibration, then all sound acts on matter. But beyond the physical, sound also affects the state of consciousness. Grinberg deeply researched altered states, perceptual fields, and the modulation of reality through specific frequencies. In his studies with shamans and subjects in deep meditation practices, he documented how certain frequencies induce states of stillness, clarity, or even expanded awareness. The Tibetan bowl, traditionally made with an alloy of 7 metals, is precisely designed to produce those kinds of frequencies. Its vibration is not chaotic or random. It is harmonically tuned to resonate with the subtle fields of the human body and the surrounding space. When a bowl is sounded with intention, what happens is not just a nice sound that relaxes. What is produced is a kind of vibrational cleansing, a restructuring of accumulated energy, a subtle sweeping of dense patterns that may have attached to the syntropic field of the house. This effect can even be observed empirically. In many homes, after sounding a bowl in a closed room for a few minutes, people report feeling the air is lighter, fresher, or they sense that something was released. This isn't about suggestion, but a real energetic perception that the body is capable of detecting, even if the rational mind doesn't immediately understand. According to Grinberg, our consciousness has multiple levels of perception, and when one is accessed, the others adjust as well. Sound acts as a key that opens that access. There is also something deeply symbolic in the act of sounding a Tibetan bowl. It demands presence. It's not just about striking it. The bowl requires a hand that touches it to be attentive, the intention to be clear, the movement to be conscious. That awareness and action reinforces the mental projection that Grinberg considered essential in his syntropic theory. Let's remember, for him, the mind does not merely interpret reality, it constructs it. Therefore, if someone sounds a Tibetan bowl with the intention of cleansing the space, unblocking stagnant energy, or attracting clarity and abundance, that act becomes a quantum action that reconfigures the perceptual field. This intentional use of sound is not exclusive to the Tibetan bowl. The bell, often used in Buddhist rituals or meditation spaces, fulfills a similar function. When a bell is sounded, it produces an instant break in the habitual flow of thoughts. It's as if the brain receives a call that pulls it out of its automatic pattern and leads it to a 0 point, to a moment of inner silence. That microsecond of pause is, in terms of energetic perception, a portal. In it, a new intention, a new frequency, a new model of order can be inserted. This is the reason why many rituals begin and end with the sound of a bowl or a bell. The sound marks a beginning, an entry into the sacred. And the sacred, beyond religious, is a moment when the mind stops and the quantum field opens. At that point, everything is possible. The home, as an extension of our mind, responds to that call. A room charged with arguments, anxiety, or disorder can be transformed vibrationally after a few minutes of clear and intentional sound resonance. It is not necessary to be a musician or have spiritual training to use a Tibetan bowl. The most important thing is full attention, holding it, caressing its rim with a wooden mallet, letting the sound emerge without forcing it, listening, feeling how the body responds, how the mind calms, how the space expands. And in the midst of that sound, visualizing what one wants to cleanse, transform, or attract. This is a point where sound and intention unite. And that point is pure creative energy. The bowl can also serve energetically diagnose an area of the home. If, when sounding in a space, the sound fades quickly or sounds muffled, it may indicate dense or stagnant energy. In contrast, if it vibrates freely and resonates for a long time, it may signal that the space is clean or coherent. This type of reading is not absolute, but offers valuable clues that can guide energetic work in the house. And when the sound is repeated daily, even for brief moments, it builds a lighter, clearer, more open energetic atmosphere. On an individual level, using the bowl or the bell also helps regulate personal energy. Sounding the bowl before starting the day or upon returning home works as a kind of vibrational reset. It releases what is accumulated in the body during the day, cuts off connection with foreign energies, and returns to the base state. Grinberg spoke of the importance of preserving mental energy to project with clarity. If one is contaminated by external impressions or emotional states of others, that projection becomes distorted. The bowl, in this sense, is like a cleaner perceptual lens. It is also essential to understand that there is no single correct way to use the bowl or the bell. Some people prefer to use it silently, intimately. Others combine it with visualizations, meditations, or even spoken affirmations. What matters is not the method, but the energetic coherence with which it is done. That is, there must be a sincere link between what is felt, what is thought, and what is projected. That coherence is what gives power to sound as a quantum tool. Just as a melody can evoke a memory or emotional state with just a few seconds of listening, the Tibetan bowl has the ability to subtly reprogram the relationship between the space and its inhabitant. What appears to be just an instrument is actually an extension of consciousness. By activating it, one also activates a part of oneself that is beyond linear thought. That part which understands that the universe responds to frequencies, that everything that vibrates communicates, and that abundance, harmony, and well-being are states that can also be tuned like a musical note. Sound does not just bounce off walls. It enters the body, settles in the mind, and if allowed, transforms the inner state. In fact, many people who incorporate the bowl into their daily routine report that their mind clears more quickly, that repetitive thoughts diminish, and that they can enter a deeper connection with themselves in just a few minutes. Jacobo Grinberg spoke of the need to adjust perception to access broader realities. According to him, we do not live inside a single reality, but within a perceptual construction conditioned by our beliefs, emotions, traumas, and mental habits. If that construction is saturated with mental noise, emotional tension, or repetitive patterns, then perception becomes limited. The Tibetan bowl, by inducing a sonic and emotional pause, opens a gap to which another way of seeing, feeling, and creating can enter. It thus becomes a concrete tool for perceptual expansion. A very interesting use of the bowl consists of combining it with conscious breathing. This can be done simply. The bowl is sounded once, and one takes a deep breath for the full duration of sound. When the sound fades, the air is released. This practice, repeated 5 or 6 times, produces a very deep state of relaxation and also a small energetic reset. It is as if the mind reconfigures itself to enter into a more harmonious tuning with the environment. This is not magic, but vibrational physics applied with full attention. In addition to this, the bowl can be used to sweep the body's energy field. This is done by placing it near the heart, the solar plexus, or the head, and sounding it without moving it, letting the vibration penetrate those energy centers. Many people notice subtle sensations like warmth, pressure, or lightness when performing this practice. These changes indicate that real energy movement is taking place. If practiced regularly, a decrease in anxiety, irritability, or creative blockages can be perceived. The bowl acts as a vibrational regulator, non-invasive and deeply effective. Another remarkable aspect is the use of the bowl as part of an energetic cleansing of the home. Some people walk through each room, sounding the bowl in every corner and at the center of the space. This helps disperse stagnant energies that accumulate in places without much movement. It can also be used after an argument or an emotionally intense moment. In those cases, the sound of the bowl helps cut through the emotional resonance that may linger in the environment. It's not uncommon for people to feel immediate relief afterward, as if something invisible had dissipated. It's worth remembering that every home has a vibrational memory. Just as objects accumulate history, spaces retain an echo of the emotions and thoughts that are generated within them. When one lives in a tense environment or around people going through difficult times, the energetic field of the home can become dense. The bowl, in this sense, not only cleanses but also reestablishes a base state of harmony, functioning as a kind of sonic zero point. From there, new things can emerge with greater clarity. There are also those who incorporate the bowl as part of a small household altar. Placing it next to a candle, a plant, or a sacred object enhances its symbolic effect. It becomes an anchor point for daily intention. Before leaving home, one might sound the bowl with a clear intention, such as protection, clarity, or abundance. Upon returning, it can be used to release the day's accumulation. This small everyday gesture, when done consistently, shapes not only the external environment, but also the inner attitude with which daily life is approached. Grinberg insisted that reality is a woven interaction between the internal and the external. Sound, as an expression of organized energy, allows us to intervene in that weave. And although conventional science still cannot explain exactly how such modulation occurs, subjective experience shows that something transforms. In this sense, the Tibetan bowl can be considered a tool for reality creation. It does not create material objects by itself, but it does modify the energetic disposition with which we face life, and that inevitably affects what we attract, what we perceive, and what we generate. Something rarely mentioned but deeply effective is the silence that follows the sound. When a bowl stops ringing, a vibrational void remains. That silence, if held with awareness, becomes a portal to interconnection. It's in that space that the seeds of intention are planted. Many people use this moment to visualize, give thanks, or simply dwell in stillness. It's a suspended instant outside of ordinary time, where perception becomes more subtle and more receptive. Grinberg spoke of these in-between spaces as fertile grounds for quantum creation. The bowl can also be used together with others, creating a shared field of resonance. In family groups, for instance, it can help harmonize relationships, reduce tension, or initiate moments of conversation from a more peaceful place. When several people listen to a bowl in silence, a natural synchronization of their internal rhythms occurs. A shared field of coherence is created. This principle has been documented in neuroscience studies on group meditation, and Grinberg, in his research on mental interconnectivity, pointed in the same direction. Of course, like any object of power, the bowl also requires care. It's not just about cleaning it physically, but about respecting its purpose. It's not ideal to use it merely as decoration or for trivial purposes. The more it is used with clarity and intention, the more it becomes charged with meaningful energy. Some even believe the bowl develops a kind of vibrational memory over time. It sounds different in each space and with each person. This may be a subjective perception, but also a reflection of the sensitivity that arises when it is used regularly and consciously. We now move on to an object that, although seemingly inert, contains deep symbolic and energetic force: the sacred figure or totem. This fourth object has been part of virtually every culture in the world since ancient times. Whether in the form of a sculpture, a figurine, an image, a carved stone, or even a natural object like a piece of wood or a feather, totems and sacred figures have been understood as anchor points between the material world and the invisible realm. In shamanic and many indigenous worldviews, a totem is not just a symbol. It is an energetic entity with which a living relationship is established. It represents qualities, archetypes, or forces of nature that humans can align with. A jaguar, for example, might symbolize power, stealth, and sharp perception. An owl, wisdom and inner vision. An ancestral human figure, the connection with ancestors or spiritual lineage. Each of these symbols embodies a specific frequency that can resonate with the one who contemplates it with devotion or awareness. Jacobo Grinberg, in his studies on perception and quantum reality, spoke extensively about how a symbol can modify the structure of consciousness. For him, symbols were not mere images but nodes of meaning that opened portals to deep dimensions of the psyche. In his synergic theory, he held that the neural field interacts with a broader field of information, and that certain meaning-charged objects, like totems or sacred figures, can act as catalysts for modifying that interaction. In other words, it's not that the figure has power on its own, but that it acts as a key to open a different perceptual experience. This has powerful implications when thinking of the home as an energetic space. Placing a sacred figure in a visible spot and imbuing it with intention turns that corner into a point of focus, a vibrational axis that radiates a particular type of energy into the environment. If the figure represents protection, for instance, its presence can generate a sense of safety that is not only psychological but also energetic. If it represents wisdom, it can serve as a constant reminder to act from a higher place. And if it represents abundance or connection to the sacred, its influence may be felt in the small gestures of daily life. It is important to clarify that there is no correct or universal sacred figure. What matters is the personal resonance the object evokes. Some people feel drawn to traditional religious images, like a Buddha, a virgin, a Christ, or a Hindu deity, while others connect more with abstract or natural symbols, such as a spiral, a special stone, or a power animal. What's essential is that the figure evokes something deep, stirring emotion or intuition connected to a broader dimension of being. One effective way to integrate a sacred figure into the home is through a small personal altar. It doesn't need to be ostentatious or overly elaborate. It can be a minimal space, a shelf, a small table, a corner in the bedroom, or near a window. The chosen figure is placed there, along with one or two accompanying elements: a candle, a small plant, a bowl of water, or a natural object. This space becomes a point of return, a place to center the mind, pause, or simply remember what matters. Another way to enhance the effect of the sacred figure is to consecrate it through a small ritual. This doesn't require esoteric knowledge or complex practices. It's enough to hold the object in your hands. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and speak a clear intention. For example, I consecrate you as a symbol of protection and clarity in my home. May your presence remind me of who I am when I forget my truth. This simple act has profound effect, as it establishes a symbolic contract between the person, the object, and the energy it represents. In many traditions, the power of symbols lies not only in their outer form, but in the relationship established with them. The more they are contemplated, honored, or interacted with, the more they activate. It's as if the bond were a channel that opens over time, through which an energetic current flows and begins to saturate the environment. In this sense, the sacred figure ceases to be a simple ornament and becomes an active agent of transformation. Grinberg might have interpreted this phenomenon through his idea of reality as an interactive construct. If consciousness shapes the neural field, and this, in turn, interacts with a non-local information field, then anything that helps reorganize consciousness has concrete effects on how reality is lived. The sacred figure, charged with meaning and contemplated with intention, is one of those reorganizers. Its presence interrupts the linearity of the everyday mind and reminds us of the symbolic, magical, and creative dimension of existence. Many testimonies confirm this. People who have integrated sacred figures into their homes report changes in the atmosphere, improved mood, or even synchronicities that begin to occur more frequently, not because the object holds external power, but because it acts as an internal activator. It is the awareness of the observer that awakens, and in doing so, transforms the environment. This idea aligns deeply with Grinberg's views, who insisted that the key to change is not outside, but in how one perceives, feels, and interacts with what is before them. An interesting point to consider is that these objects can also evolve over time. A figure that was meaningful at one stage of life may cease to resonate in another, or a new symbol may appear, almost magically, that aligns with a more current frequency. It's important to remain attentive to these shifts. The symbolic language is not static. It changes, mutates, and adapts to each person's life process. The ideal is to allow that evolution, to thank what an object once represented, and to make room for the new when the time comes. Thus, by integrating a sacred figure or totem into the home, one is doing much more than decorating a space. One is installing a vibrational antenna, a living reminder that reality can be lived with meaning, intention, and openness to the invisible. It's not about filling the house with magical objects, but about choosing with clarity and connecting deeply. In that connection, energy moves, and when energy moves with direction, abundance finds its way, beyond its aesthetic aspect. The choice must be a conscious decision that considers personal resonance and the intention to be infused into the space. To choose an appropriate sacred figure or totem, the first step is to connect with one's own feelings. This can be done through a simple meditation, or simply by noticing which images or symbols naturally draw our attention. It's not always necessary for the figure to come from a recognized spiritual tradition. Often, the object that feels meaningful may be something as simple as a stone, a handmade piece, or a small sculpture, an animal or human figure. The key is that it evokes in us a deep feeling of harmony, protection, strength, or peace. Once the object has been selected, it is important to dedicate some time to activate its presence. This can be done through a personal ritual, simple and full of meaning. Some practices include physically cleansing the object with water, herbal smoke, or Palo Santo, and then holding with both hands while visualizing a light that surrounds it. At that moment, one can formulate a clear intention, verbalizing aloud or mentally what is desired to be attracted or strengthened through that figure. For example, may this totem be a beacon of abundance and well-being in my home, or may its energy guide my path toward clarity and protection. This symbolic act not only establishes an energetic connection, but also activates in the mind an anchor, a fixed point of reference that strengthens conscious perception and the relationship with the object. Grinberg emphasized that this interaction with symbols is a co-creative process between the mind, the object, and the energetic field surrounding us. Conscious intention is the engine that transforms a simple object into a channel of energy. Moreover, the location of the figure in the home plays a key role. Ideally, it should be placed in a visible and frequented spot, where it can serve as a constant reminder and where its energy can radiate freely. Many traditions suggest placing these figures in spaces where important activities are carried out, such as the living room, the personal altar, or the bedroom. It is also recommended that the area around the totem be clean, tidy, and cared for, since disorder or dirt can block the energetic flow. Ongoing care of the totem is also a way to keep its energy alive and in constant renewal. This can include cleaning the object periodically, passing herbal smoke over it, or simply dedicating a few minutes each day to observing it with attention and gratitude. These small acts strengthen the bond and ensure that the figure remains an open channel toward abundance and well-being. It is worth mentioning that the bond with the sacred figure is not static, but dynamic. Over time, it can grow and deepen, generating a sense of familiarity that transcends the material and touches the spiritual. This is a reflection of how consciousness shapes experience and how, by opening ourselves to these symbols, we can access broader dimensions of perception. Grinberg also emphasized the importance of the emotional and mental context in this interaction. The sacred figure can amplify what is already present within us. So if we are in a state of openness, gratitude, and trust, the energy that is mobilized will be positive and enriching. On the other hand, if approached with doubt or indifference, the effect may be more limited. Therefore, the key lies in the attitude and disposition with which one works with these symbols. In many cultures, the totem or sacred figure is also a link to ancestors and collective memory. Incorporating these objects into the home can be a way of honoring that continuity, recognizing that we are not isolated, but connected with past generations and with a broader network of energies. This, in turn, enhances a sense of belonging and rootedness, essential elements for a feeling of true abundance. Finally, we must not forget that the power of these figures also lies in their ability to inspire and motivate. Seeing daily a symbol that represents our goals, values, or aspirations encourages us to act with coherence and purpose. In this sense, the sacred figure not only attracts favorable energy, but also constantly reminds us of who we want to be and where we want to go. With all this in mind, the integration of a sacred figure or totem into the home is a practice that goes far beyond decoration. It is a conscious act of creating a space where energy flows in harmony and where abundance can manifest in multiple ways. The key lies in intention, connection, and ongoing care, which together allow these objects to become true allies on the path toward a full and enriched life. Now tell me, do you have at home any object that you feel is not just a decoration, but a true guardian of energy and meaning? That totem, that sacred figure or symbol that seems to speak to you in silence, and that has changed the way you perceive your space. I want you to really think about it, because we often ignore the power these invisible allies have in our daily lives. What does that object represent for you? How has it influenced your mood, your decisions, or the way you face challenges? Tell me below with complete honesty, that unique experience only you can share. There are no right or perfect answers, only the truth of your personal bond. I look forward to reading each story, because in them lies the key to understanding how abundance truly manifests. Continuing this deep exploration of the objects that can transform the energy of our home, we now arrive at the fifth essential element, the white candle, or alternatively, the honey candle. Although its appearance is simple, to enclose the power of fire within a candle is to open a direct channel to an ancestral energy that has accompanied humankind since ancient times. Fire is a symbol of purification, transformation, and renewal, and when we incorporate it into our space, we are also incorporating it into our life. From an energetic perspective, fire represents that inner engine that drives change, will, and clarity. Lighting a white candle is like lighting a lamp in the dark, an act that in itself can shift the vibration of the environment, dissolving dense, heavy, or stagnant energies. In many cultures and spiritual traditions, the white candle is considered one of the most powerful tools to connect with inner light and divinity, also serving as a beacon for abundance and protection. Jacobo Grinberg, in his research on consciousness and energy, associated fire with the transmutation of mental and emotional states. According to his approach, the act of lighting a candle not only changes the physical environment, but can also alter the personal and collective energy field, creating a space conducive to the manifestation of desires and the opening of paths. This action is a concrete way of directing intention and sustaining a high vibration. It is important to understand that the choice of a white or honey candle is not random. The white candle is a universal symbol of purity, peace, and clarity, while the honey candle adds a special nuance through its properties linked to sweetness, attraction, and prosperity. In traditional rituals, honey is associated with the nectar of abundance and harmony, so using a candle with this essence is to invoke those same benefits into our home. The process of lighting the candle can become a simple but powerful ritual. First, it is recommended to prepare the space, ensuring it is clean and tidy and that there are no distractions so the mind can focus on the intention. Many people accompany this moment with deep breaths or a brief meditation to align body, mind, and spirit before lighting the flame. When lighting the candle, it is key to do so with a clear and positive intention. It may be a specific wish for abundance, health, peace, or any other personal aspiration. Visualizing the goal while the flame flickers creates a connection between inner and outer energy, strengthening the manifestation process. This act can be repeated daily or during moments that feel especially important, such as the start of a project or overcoming an obstacle. The candle flame also acts as a symbolic mirror of our own vital energy. By observing the flame, it is possible to perceive internal fluctuations, those emotional or mental oscillations that prevent us from moving forward. In this sense, the candle serves as a tool for self-awareness and emotional regulation, allowing a person to recognize what needs to be transformed in order to make way for abundance. In many mystical practices, fire is considered a purifying agent that can dissolve energetic blocks and cleanse a personal aura. For this reason, lighting a white candle at home not only affects the physical environment, but also impacts the subtle bodies and the energy field surrounding each individual. The vibration of fire aligns and elevates, promoting a more open and receptive mental and emotional state. Furthermore, the combination of the color white with the fire element is especially powerful for clearing doubts, fears, and inner resistance. This type of candle is ideal for those seeking clarity in important decisions or for those needing to renew their commitment to goals requiring perseverance and faith. In this case, the fire does not only burn wax, but symbolically burns what no longer serves, making space for the new. The honey candle, meanwhile, adds an extra dimension of attraction and sweetness. Its aroma and natural color help create a warm and welcoming atmosphere, which can positively influence the mood of those who inhabit the space. In prosperity rituals, honey is an element that symbolizes abundance in all its forms, not only economic, but also emotional and spiritual. Therefore, using a honey candle can be a conscious gesture to invite that sweetness into daily life. A fundamental aspect to keep in mind is the quality of the candles used. It is preferable to choose natural wax candles, such as beeswax or soy wax, since industrial candles may contain chemicals that negatively affect the environment and energy of the space. The purity of the material reflects the purity of the intention, and it is important to maintain coherence in this point to enhance the energetic effect. The place where the candle is placed also influences its power. Ideally, it should be situated in a safe, visible spot where it can serve as a focal point of concentration. Many people choose to place it on a personal altar or in a space designated for meditation or daily reflection. The candle can accompany other energetic objects, thus creating a center of positive energy that enhances abundance on different levels. The care and respect shown toward the candle are also part of the ritual. It's not just about lighting and extinguishing it without awareness, but about connecting with the deeper meaning of that act. When putting it out, for instance, it is recommended to do so with a respectful gesture, such as blowing softly or using a candle snuffer in order not to disperse the accumulated energy. It's also important to avoid leaving the candle burning unattended to maintain safety and respect for fire element. This conscious care helps preserve the energetic flow and sustain the connection between intention and manifestation. With each lighting, The candle becomes a small mobile altar, a meeting point between the tangible and the intangible, between willpower and the reality we seek to create. In this way, the white or honey candle presents itself as a simple yet powerful object, capable of transforming both space and mind, of purifying and opening pathways. Incorporating it into the home routine means integrating an ancestral tool that reminds us abundance is not merely an external concept, but an internal state we can ignite and nourish through every small gesture. With this understanding, we can take a conscious step toward creating spaces that not only house objects but vibrate with the energy of our deepest intentions. The white or honey candle is, without a doubt, an ally that can illuminate not only our home but also our path to a more abundant and fulfilling life. One of the most relevant aspects is candle meditation, a simple yet profound technique that has been used since ancient times. It consists of focusing attention on the flame while breathing slowly and consciously. This practice helps center the mind, clear scattered thoughts, and connect with inner energy. According to Jacobo Grinberg, concentration on simple stimuli, such as a candle flame, can alter our field of perception, amplifying our ability to attract positive states and synchronize with the desired reality. To practice this meditation, it is recommended to sit in a quiet place, preferably with a candle lit in front of you at a safe distance, so you can observe it effortlessly. The space should be free of noise or distractions and can be complemented with soft music or natural sounds. During the session, breathing should be deep and slow, directing attention to the flame. It is not about forcing thoughts or emotions, but allowing the mind to relax and connect with the luminous vibration of the fire. As attention is maintained on the flame, one may experience a sense of calm and clarity that opens a way to establishing clear and positive intentions. Visualizing desired abundance, imagining energy flowing freely in the home and personal life, strengthens the relationship between intention and manifestation. The candle acts as a tangible bridge between the inner and outer worlds, making visible the invisible process of energetic creation. Another common practice is the ritual petition or affirmation, where the candle is lit and words are spoken to reinforce the intention. These affirmations should be positive, in the present tense, and spoken with conviction. For example, I open my home and life to abundance in all its forms, or the light of this candle guides my steps toward prosperity and harmony. This act gives voice to the desire and lends it energetic momentum, aligning the mind with the vibration one wishes to attract. This ritual can be accompanied by writing intentions on a piece of paper, which can then be placed near the candle while it burns. In this way, the fire becomes a symbolic transformer that burns away internal resistances and releases blockages so energy may flow freely. In many cases, repeating this process for several consecutive days is recommended to consolidate the effect and deepen the transformation. The use of the candle is also tied to specific moments of the lunar and daily cycles. Many spiritual traditions advise lighting candles during the new moon to initiate new projects or intentions, and during full moon to enhance manifestations and close cycles. Additionally, the time of day when a ritual is done can influence the energy, with sunrise being ideal for planning intentions, while sunset favors introspection and letting go of what no longer serves. Safety is a point that should never be overlooked. It's always essential to place the candle on a stable surface, away from flammable materials, and never leave it burning unsupervised. This respect for the fire element is part of the care that must be taken with any energy practice, as the balance between intention and the physical environment is what sustains harmony. From a holistic perspective, the white or honey candle not only influences the space, but also the subtle and emotional body. The warmth and light have a calming effect, can reduce anxiety, and promote states of well-being. For this reason, lighting a candle during times of stress or uncertainty can be a helpful way to reconnect with inner peace and restore trust in the life process. It is also interesting how the presence of a candle can transform the atmosphere of a room. Its soft, flickering light creates an intimate and welcoming environment, inviting reflection and connection with oneself. This aesthetic and emotional aspect is part of the energetic power of fire, creating a space that invites abundance not only on a material level, but also in quality of life and personal relationships. Additionally, the candle can be combined with other energetic objects to enhance its effects. For example, Lighting a white candle near a living plant like basil or aloe can harmonize the space even more, blending the purity of fire with the vitality of nature. Likewise, placing a sacred figure or totem beside the candle can strengthen the intention and create a focused energy point that acts as a magnet for abundance. A detail worth considering is the frequent renewal of the candle. As the wax burns down, the candle transforms, and the process symbolizes ongoing change. Some people prefer to replace it once it is completely consumed, while others use it until only a small piece remains, and then substitute it with a new one, thus maintaining a steady flow of energy. Choosing to light a white or honey candle can be a conscious act repeated with discipline, but also with flexibility. It is not a duty, but a habit integrated into daily life as a way to connect with the invisible forces that shape our reality. This commitment to a simple ritual can serve as an anchor to keep the mind focused and the heart open. Finally, beyond technique or symbolism, the most important element is the intention and awareness behind each gesture. Lighting a candle is not just igniting a flame. It is igniting an inner light that illuminates the path to a fuller, more abundant life in harmony with the universe. The white or honey candle is, therefore, much more than an object. It is an energetic channel that, when used consciously, can become a powerful ally for transforming both our home and our life. With this holistic view, we understand that the true power of the candle lies in the connection we establish with it and the openness to receive the abundance already available in the energetic field around us. Incorporating this object into our daily routine is ultimately an act of faith and will to create the reality we wish to live. Continuing with the elements that support the energy of abundance and home, we now turn to the sixth essential object, sea salt in a container. This element, simple in appearance, holds deep symbolic and energetic value recognized by many cultures and traditions throughout history. Beyond its culinary use, sea salt acts as a powerful purifying and protective agent within living spaces, absorbing and transforming heavy energies that may obstruct the flow of prosperity and well-being. From an energetic perspective, salt is known for its ability to neutralize and dissolve negative vibrations that accumulate in the environment. These dense energies can come from emotional conflicts, daily stress, painful memories, or simply the saturation created by modern life. Placing a container of sea salt in certain areas of the home creates a sort of protective field that acts like an energetic sponge, capturing these charges and allowing the space to regain its natural balance. Jacobo Grinberg, in his studies on perception and energy, emphasized how certain materials can interact with our personal energy field and that of the spaces we inhabit. Salt, due to its natural composition and properties, functions as a receiver and transducer of these energies, facilitating a cleansing process that goes beyond the physical and enters the subtle. It is worth noting that this function of salt is not limited to esoteric concepts, but has an empirical basis, supported by observations from various cultures and traditional practices. One reason why sea salt is preferred over refined salt is its richness in minerals and relative purity, which makes it more effective for energetic purposes. Seawater and the salt derived from it contain a variety of essential minerals that contribute to its ability to attract and transform energies. This makes sea salt an indispensable ally for those who wish to create a harmonious and prosperous environment in their home. Placing the salt in a specific container also carries symbolic and practical meaning. The container serves as a vessel that defines the salt's field of action and allows it to work in a focused way. It can be made of ceramic, glass, or any material that doesn't interfere with the salt's energetic function. The choice of the container can also be guided by aesthetics and intention, as it is about integrating an object that contributes to the visual and energetic harmony of the space. The ideal places to position the container with salt are usually those strategic points in the home where energy tends to stagnate or where more tension is perceived. Among these, dark corners, main entrances, near windows that receive drafts, or even the bathroom are recommended places to place sea salt. In this way, an energetic barrier is created that protects the interior of the house and encourages the free flow of positive energy. One important aspect is that sea salt has a limited lifespan in this energetic role. As it absorbs dense energies, it loses effectiveness and can become saturated, so it is necessary to renew it periodically. This renewal is also a conscious act that involves disposing of the used salt, preferably in a natural space such as the earth, and placing new salt in the container. This cycle keeps the process of energetic cleansing and renewal active, preventing the space from becoming stagnant or accumulating negative charges. In some cases, it is recommended to accompany the placement of the salt with a small ritual or clear intention. It can be as simple as saying out loud a phrase that reflects the purpose of the object. For example, "May the salt absorb all unhelpful energy and protect this home with abundance and harmony." This act of verbalizing the intention strengthens the energetic function of the object, aligning the mind and heart with the transformation process one wants to achieve. In addition, sea salt not only acts on the energetic level of the home, but can also influence the emotional state of those who live in the space. The sense of cleanliness and protection it provides can translate into greater calm, better sleep quality, and a general sense of well-being. This effect is key to maintaining an energetic field that supports the manifestation of abundance in all its forms, material, emotional, or spiritual. Historically, salt has been used in many cultures as a symbol of purity and protection. In the Japanese Shinto tradition, for example, salt is scattered on the ground to purify and attract good fortune. In Hebrew culture, salt appears in rituals of protection and covenant. These references show us how salt has been recognized as a sacred element that connects a material with the spiritual, reinforcing its energetic value in our homes. This ancestral knowledge, combined with contemporary research by Jacobo Grinberg on energy and perception, invites us to consider sea salt not only as a physical element, but as a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds. The way we interact with these objects and how we integrate them into our environment reflects and modifies our perception, and therefore, the reality we experience. For all these reasons, sea salt in a container is a fundamental object for those who want to maintain energetic harmony in their home and attract abundance consciously. Its presence helps create an environment that breathes cleanliness and protection, essential elements for opportunities and prosperity to manifest without obstacles. With this understanding of the energetic and symbolic power of sea salt, we can begin to pay closer attention to the objects we have at home and how they influence our daily life, inviting us to choose each element in our living space with wisdom and purpose. A key aspect to enhance the use of sea salt is the cleansing and consecration of the container that holds it. Although the container can be simple, regular cleaning and the intention placed on it greatly increase the energetic capacity of the whole. Before placing the salt, it is recommended to wash the container with water and, if desired, with a bit of salt or vinegar to eliminate any residual energy. Some even prefer to pass the container through incense or smudging smoke to purify it before filling it with salt. Intention is fundamental in this practice. Salt does not act magically or automatically. Its power multiplies when it is given a clear function and when mindful awareness is maintained in its use. For example, when placing the salt, you can say out loud or mentally a powerful affirmation, such as "This salt absorbs all dense energy and protects this space with light and abundance." This simple act is a bridge between the mind and the object, activating an energetic connection that supports the desired manifestation. The placement of the sea salt must be strategic. Dimly lit corners or those where heavy or stagnant energy is felt are ideal for placing the container. The main entrance is also highly recommended because it is the doorway through which energy enters the home. Placing salt in these spaces creates an energetic barrier that prevents negative vibrations from accumulating or spreading, supporting a harmonious flow of vital energy. A complementary practice is to renew the salt periodically. Since salt absorbs and stores dense energies, over time it becomes saturated and loses effectiveness. To determine when it's time to change it, you can observe whether the salt shows visible changes like moisture, darkening, or clumps. If not, it is advisable to change it every month or month and a half to ensure it is always functioning optimally. When disposing of used salt, it is advisable to do so in a natural space, such as the earth, a garden, or a tree. This act allows the trapped negative energy to be released and transformed within a natural cycle of the environment, preventing contamination of the home or the place where the new salt will be placed. This process is a cleansing and renewal ritual that closes one energetic cycle and opens another. Sea salt can be combined with other elements to enhance its effect. For example, some people place crystals near or inside the container to amplify the positive vibration. Others add dried herbs like rosemary or lavender, known for their purifying and protective properties. This combination of elements creates a much more powerful and balanced energy field. Empirical and scientific knowledge also supports the use of sea salt in purifying environments. It is known that salt has hygroscopic properties, meaning it absorbs moisture and particles from the air. This is not only beneficial for the physical quality of the space, but also has an energetic parallel in the absorption of dense or stagnant energies. The connection between the physical and the energetic becomes evident in this dual function. For those seeking a deeper connection with salt, Jacobo Grinberg proposed observing and feeling the effect of salt on the environment and oneself, cultivating conscious perception. According to his research, the reality we experience is a co-creation between our mind and the environment, and elements like salt act as modulators of this interaction. Therefore, integrating salt into the home is also an act of self-observation and presence. On an emotional level, sea salt helps to create an environment that fosters calm and mental clarity. By absorbing negative charges, it reduces tensions that are reflected in arguments, stress, or restlessness. This, in turn, creates space for new ideas, opportunities, and positive sensations to flow more easily, generating a virtuous circle of abundance and well-being. The symbolism of salt also deserves recognition. Salt represents purity, protection, and stability, essential qualities for prosperity. In many spiritual traditions, salt is a sacrament that connects a human being to the earth and to the divine, establishing a balance between the material and the spiritual. This holistic view reinforces its inclusion as a key object in creating an abundant and energetically healthy home. To maximize the energetic impact of salt, it is important not only to place it, but also to maintain an attitude of respect and gratitude toward the object and the space we inhabit. Daily awareness of how objects and elements influence our lives is a first step toward transforming our environment and, with it, our reality. Sea salt is a visible and tangible ally in this process of transformation. In summary, sea salt in a container functions as a powerful cleanser and energetic protector when used with intention, care, and knowledge. Its strategic placement, periodic renewal, and combination with other practices elevate its function and make it a true pillar in maintaining abundance in the home. This knowledge invites us to look at everyday elements with new eyes, discovering in them gateways to transformation and prosperity. By integrating sea salt into our living space, we are taking a conscious action to create an environment that breathes harmony and opens paths to abundance in all its forms. Now, I want you to stop for a moment and think, have you ever felt how the energy of a space changes just by placing a bit of salt? Or maybe you left that salt for too long and noticed it no longer served its purpose. Here I invite you to open up and share your real experience in the comments, without filters or cliches. Tell us what changes you noticed, what sensations were awakened in you and in your home by incorporating this ancestral element. Because when we share those small, great stories, we create a living space of collective learning and growth. I'm reading you. Now we arrive at the seventh and final element of this essential list, the inherited object with positive charge. This object, which often goes unnoticed, contains not only sentimental value, but also a particular energy that is transmitted through time, like an invisible legacy that connects generations. Inherited objects possess a special characteristic. They carry a deep energetic memory. According to the quantum perspective and syntropic theory, developed by Jacobo Grinberg, every material object retains a memory that goes beyond its physical form. This memory is nothing other than the energetic information that has accumulated in its structure over time and through the experiences of those who have held it in their hands. In the case of inherited objects, this memory can be very powerful and carry significant emotional charge, directly impacting the energetic field of our home. When we speak of an inherited object with positive charge, we refer to one that has carried good vibrations, happy moments, or has been treated with respect and affection. These types of objects not only beautify a space, but also act as energetic anchors that stabilize and strengthen the vibration of the environment. For example, a piece of jewelry that belonged to a beloved relative, an old book that held family wisdom, or a piece of furniture that accompanied moment of unity and celebration hold a value far beyond the material. It is important to note that not all inherited objects possess this positive energy. Some may have accumulated dense or negative energies due to conflicting or painful situations related to their previous owners. That is why, before integrating an inherited object into our space with the intention of attracting abundance, we must learn to identify whether its energy is truly beneficial for us in our home. To recognize the energetic charge of an inherited object, we can begin with intuitive observation. What sensations does it awaken in you when you touch it or simply have it nearby? Do you feel peace, warmth, or on the contrary, a sense of discomfort or heaviness? This first emotional and energetic contact is essential to know whether that object aligns with the vibration we wish to cultivate. Another method involves using energetic cleansing techniques to assess the object. For example, passing incense or smudging herbs over it, using sea salt water for a physical energetic wash, or even applying quartz crystals to balance its vibration. If after these cleansings the object still generates a positive and harmonious sensation, we can consider it suitable to integrate into our space with the intention of abundance. This process of evaluation and cleansing is vital because the inherited object not only carries the story of those who owned it before, but it can also be a vehicle for energetic transformation. When an object is properly cleansed and consecrated, it becomes a magnet for positive energy and a catalyst for the manifestation of prosperity and well-being in the home. Likewise, the emotional connection we establish with the object is fundamental to its energetic activation. It is not enough to place a beautiful or old object in space. It is necessary to create a conscious bond that turns it into a personal amulet of abundance. This involves taking time to meditate with it, hold it in your hands, and fill it with intention through clear words or thoughts. In many cultures, this act of consecration is carried out through small rituals that may include prayers, chants, visualizations, or the use of symbolic elements like fire, water, or air to seal the positive intention. These rituals not only strengthen the energy of the object, but also raise the vibration of the space where it will be placed, creating an environment conducive to abundance flowing naturally. One aspect that reinforces the importance of the inherited object in the home's energy is the notion of energetic lineage. Each object is a fragment of family history that transcends time and becomes a bridge between generations. By integrating these objects into our daily lives, we connect with the wisdom and experiences of our ancestors, which can enhance a deep sense of belonging and energetic security. Moreover, this connection with the lineage can be a source of emotional and spiritual strength, as it reminds us that we are not alone on our path. The energy accumulated in the object can function as an invisible support, helping to attract opportunities, unlock obstacles, and open new doors in our lives. To maximize these benefits, it is advisable to choose a special place within the home to place the inherited object. This space should be a place of respect and presence, where you can see it often and remember the history and energies it represents. In this way, the object becomes an anchor that holds a vibration of abundance and continuous well-being. At this point, it is also important to maintain the object's ongoing energetic cleanliness. Just as we renew the salt or cleanse a mirror with intention, inherited objects require energetic maintenance so that their power does not diminish. This can be done monthly or bi-monthly, using the same methods of smudging, salt water, or crystals, always with a clear intention of preserving its positive energy. Finally, the integration of the inherited object into the home's dynamic must be a living and evolving experience. It is not just a decoration or a static relic, but an active agent in the creation of the energetic reality we desire. By honoring the history and energy of this object, we invite abundance to enter and remain in a constant flow that nourishes every aspect of our life. To identify, cleanse, and activate this energy so that it truly becomes a magnet for abundance in your home, we must begin by recognizing whether an inherited object has good energy. It goes beyond initial sensations. It is a process that requires observing subtle details, such as the condition of the object, the story it carries, and how that story resonates with you personally. It's not the same when an object has been a source of family pride, a symbol of success or celebration, as when it has been involved in conflict or painful situations. The energy of the object can reflect those circumstances and affect your energy field if not handled properly. An effective method to deepen this evaluation is to connect with your own intuition. This can be achieved through meditative practices or simply by spending quiet time in front of the object, allowing any thought, emotion, or image to emerge without judgment. This inner connection is the most reliable guide to know whether an object deserves a place in your home as a positive energetic support. In case the object presents a mixed or somewhat uncomfortable charge, energetic cleansing is essential. Beyond physical cleaning, which is fundamental for care and preservation, energetic cleansing is a process that releases any negative vibration or accumulated blockages. The methods are varied and can be adapted according to your affinity and context. Smudging with copal, palo santo, or sage, baths with sea salt water, exposure to sunlight or moonlight, or even the use of specific sounds like bells or Tibetan bowls to dissolve dense energies. Energetic cleansing not only removes a negative, but also opens space for new positive vibrations to enter and remain active. When performed with clear and firm intention, you can also program the object to function as an anchor of abundance and well-being. Then comes the activation or consecration of the object. This step is key to transforming a simple inherited object into a powerful talisman. Activation consists of charging the object with your personal energy and your intentions. This ritual may include affirmations spoken aloud or silently, visualizations of light and energy infusing the object, and symbolic gestures such as touching it, surrounding it with your hands, or passing it through purifying elements. Some prefer to do it at a special moment, such as during a full moon or on a significant day for them, to enhance the ritual's energy. However, the most important thing is that this act be authentic, conscious, and repeated whenever you feel the object needs an energetic renewal. Additionally, the inherited object can be integrated into daily practices that reinforce its energy. For example, placing it on a personal altar or sacred space, using it as a focal point during meditations, or simply keeping it visible and nearby to remember the connection with abundance and the family lineage. This conscious integration transforms the relationship with the object. From being a mere memory, it becomes an energetic partner in the construction of your reality. The object begins to act as a constant reminder of your purpose, a source of inspiration, and an energetic refuge that protects and attracts opportunities. Another fascinating dimension of inherited objects is their ability to act as catalysts for family healing. Many times, when working with them and releasing dense energetic memories, we not only improve our environment, but also help to heal patterns and wounds from previous generations. This transgenerational healing on an energetic level can open doors to new possibilities in your life, freeing you from burdens that unconsciously limit your abundance. Of course, for this to happen, it is essential to maintain an attitude of respect and gratitude toward the object and those who came before. This attitude raises a vibration and allows energy to flow more easily. You can even accompany your relationship with the inherited object with daily or periodic gratitude practices, such as lighting a candle, offering flowers, or dedicating words of recognition and love. Finally, it is worth mentioning that the energy an inherited object brings is not limited only to the home, but can extend to all areas of your life: relationships, health, work, and personal projects. Its influence manifests in the creation of a harmonious environment that favors creativity, mental clarity, and the ability to attract what you desire. In this way, integrating a positively charged inherited object into your home is not just a matter of decoration or tradition, but a conscious act of energetic construction, a bridge between past and future that strengthens your present. And thus, we close a chapter on this last object, which, with story and energy, invites us to connect with abundance through the memory and love of those who came before us. Throughout this journey, we have deeply explored the hidden power that lives in the objects that surround us and how, beyond their material function, they are active channels of energy, awareness, and transformation. If we look closely at each of them, we will see that they share a common denominator. They all have the capacity to directly influence our inner state, shape the way we perceive reality, and therefore create favorable conditions for abundance to flow naturally in our lives. These objects, though diverse in shape, texture, and origin, are not decorative coincidences or mere ornaments. Each one acts as a point of connection between our external world and our internal structures. They are reflections, in many cases, of our deepest beliefs, of our emotional history, and also of our unspoken desires. What is fascinating is that when they're used consciously, with clear intention, and from an energetic approach like the one proposed by Jacobo Grinberg, they become powerful tools to raise our vibration and positively alter our reality. The environment we live in is not a neutral stage. According to Grinberg's entropic theory, everything we perceive is mediated by our neuronal field, a system that interacts directly with the space we inhabit. In other words, your house not only contains you, it also defines you, informs you, influences you. Every object you place, every space you harmonize or neglect, constantly feeds that neuronal field, contributing to expand or limit your ability to create an abundant life. That is why it is so significant to look at our home with new eyes, not from routine or autopilot, but with an awakened, sensitive gaze that can detect whether what surrounds us adds to or subtracts from our daily experience. When we incorporate objects like the ones we have explored with intention, with symbolism, with history, or with energetic properties recognized by ancestral cultures, something begins to move within us. It is not just that the environment changes, but that we change with it. That change is subtle but profound. A house that vibrates high becomes a space that nurtures, that inspires, that reminds us who we are and where we're going. Living plants not only beautify, they breathe with us, absorb tensions, lift the mood. Tibetan bowls are not just sound instruments. They are bridges to states of peace and interconnection. Sacred figures, consecrated mirrors, candles, sea salt, inherited objects, when integrated consciously, act as silent guardians of our well-being, amplifiers of our intention, and witnesses to our transformations. Jacobo Grinberg insisted that reality is a perceptual construction, that what we believe, feel, and project onto the environment directly influences what we perceive as real. From this perspective, abundance stops being an exclusively material or economic matter and becomes a vibrational state, a way of being in the world where everything necessary flows to us in sync with our level of consciousness. And it's not about magic in the most fantastical sense of the word. It's about resonance, about energetic coherence, about allowing the internal and external to speak the same language. When your space is aligned with your highest desires, your inner peace, and a frequency of gratitude, what begins to arrive in your life reflects that same vibration. At this point in the video, it's very likely that you're already looking at your house with different sensitivity. Maybe you've remembered a forgotten object on a shelf. Maybe a plant you hadn't noticed in a long time. Or maybe now you feel the impulse to consecrate a special corner, to renew certain elements, or to pay more attention to what you place in your space. That, precisely, is what opens a channel to abundance. Not accumulation, but awareness. Not external luxury, but the inner order we project outward. This approach does not seek to impose dogmas or rigid formulas. Quite the opposite. It invites you to experiment, to feel, to connect with the subtle. What may be a symbol of power for one person may mean nothing to another. The key lies in observing how that object makes you feel, what it evokes in you, and how it changes your energy when you integrate it into your environment. And if throughout this journey you felt something resonate deeply with you, if some idea or practice sparked your curiosity or lit an inner spark, then you are already on your way. Because true transformation begins with that small shift in perception, with that openness to see the everyday with new eyes. To see your home not just as a physical space, but as a living extension of your energetic field, as an ally in your personal evolution process. Now, I would love to know which object you're going to integrate first. Which one caught your attention the most? Which one is already in your home and you hadn't noticed its true power? Do you have any ritual you'd like to share with the community? This space is yours, and the comments are open for you to share your experience. Believe me, there's nothing more valuable than reading the experiences of others who, like you, are cultivating a more conscious, connected, and abundant life. If this content has brought you something valuable, it has helped you see your environment from another perspective, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming videos where we'll continue exploring these paths of inner expansion together. Give a like if you enjoyed it, and share it with someone you also feel needs to open to a new way of inhabiting their space and energy. And if you made it this far, I deeply thank you for your time and your conscious attention. Always remember that your home is a reflection of your soul, that every object you choose to keep close is communicating something about you, and that you have the power to shape that message with intention, love, and wisdom. Comment the word convergence if you want to receive a special greeting in the next video. That will be our secret code to recognize each other as part of this awakened community. Until then, may your space embrace you, may your energy expand, and may abundance come to you with the force of the inevitable.